Welcome to More Than a Parent, a podcast exploring who we are. Welcome to More Than a Parent, a podcast exploring who we are and what we want outside of being a parent, so we can create an integrated lifestyle with impact both in and out of our homes. I'm Caz Gaddis, and I invite you to join me to be your more, live your and. Welcome to the More Than a Parent podcast. I'm Caz Gaddis. If you turned in, I sounded like Medea just there. If you tuned in to our last podcast, episode 9, we talked about productivity during this pandemic and things that we can consider doing to support us as we go forward into this kind of uncertain and unknown time, but also with a very empowered view of looking at what's possible, looking at what could work for you. So I hope that really served you. That was E009. If you go to cazgaddis.com/E009. Today's episode is going to be on the self-care piece. So if you heard again the last episode, I was in a place where I was feeling super paralyzed. There was just so much emotions going on, my own as well. Something I did not share in the last episode that could serve here in just sharing like where we are as a family is we lost over 90% of our income for the next 3 to 4 months. So if you're in a place where you've lost some or all of your income, I get you, we feel you. And instead of staying in a place of being paralyzed in that, which I was, because it's a very real thing, especially when you have kids, it's looking at what is possible now. And so with that piece, we shared productivity on the last episode, and this one is going deeper. This one's going into how is it that you want to process through the feels that you're feeling, and then what do you want to do once you're there. So this episode is going to be even more heart-centered on that. I have some things as well that I'll be sharing. Before we go into that piece, I do want to share this will be available at cazgaddis.com/podcast. Specifically for this episode, you can also download the More Than a Parent Roundup on self-care. It's a guide for you available at cazgaddis.com. So before I go into this more, and the reason I kind of had that pause that you heard there for a moment is this is a very real time. This is all affecting us in all different ways, and at the same time in very similar, real ways. I want to first do a collective pause with you. There's a power in the pause. And this is something that I mentioned in the productivity one that I love to do when I'm going into a call and I'm transitioning from one call to the next or one activity, especially when you're balancing everyone being at home into the next. And so we're going to experience that together because I think that will help us. And it may sound counterintuitive being on a podcast and doing this, but I'd love to share that with you. So what I'm doing is I'm getting on my phone, which is nice and sparkly, and it says More Than a Parent, and I'm putting on a 1-minute timer. So for the next minute that we're here together sharing the space, I invite you to truly see how you can pause what's going on around you, or at least pause within yourself. If you can close your eyes, do that. If you feel weird doing that, then don't do that. But just take a moment to just listen to the quietness and let that re-center you for the rest of this podcast, because I really want this to serve you. And so we're going to take this minute collectively now. Okay. So that's a minute of time. I know it probably felt like a long time if you haven't done something like this before. But my hope is that in experiencing that now, you could also come back to that same feeling and experience that at another time that would serve you. So, with us talking about self-care and where we are right now as a mom, especially, we're having to serve and nurture everyone and do all the things in a whole new level for most of us, right? Having the kids at home, the spouse at home if you have one, whatever it is, it's a whole new heightened level of being a mom. I laugh because that helps me get through it. It's funny. So when it comes to self-care, the first thing is really that I want to share myself as we go into the tips that everyone else is going to share. So if I hadn't mentioned that yet, this is a podcast roundup. So we have some amazing women that are going to be sharing with us on what helps them be able to recenter, recharge, replenish, and refocus on the self-care side right now, because we are in a pandemic and there's just a lot going on that we're having to manage both inside of ourselves and outside of ourselves. In my own experience, I've talked to probably 40 to 50 moms, specifically in my business, in my more than a parent coaching practice. And the biggest thing is that when we're in a place where we're feeling just kind of broken down energetically or emotionally or all the things, we're serving from a place of exhaustion, right? When you're in exhaustion, all you can put out is exhaust. And so when we work on our energy and how we're showing up, when we work in that personal power piece, we're able to elevate that energy so that we can serve from a place of abundance and overflow, so that we don't have to be like, oh man, well, I have nothing left to replenish myself. So the first thing is self-compassion. Um, Self-compassion could be just taking a 1 minute break to pause and just let everything chill out, right? Because there's a lot going on. And having self-compassion in yourself, regardless if you work for someone or now you're working for someone at home possibly, or for your own business, it's knowing that you are totally doing the best you can, given the specific situation you're in, the specific way that things are showing up in your life and how it's affecting you. You are doing the best you can. So please love yourself as if you were your friend, that you would tell them all sorts of amazing things. It's so easy for us internally sometimes to say things that could really break us down. And just focus on the compassion piece and just flex that muscle this upcoming week. Look at ways that you can love yourself more through this, because it will help you get through it, and it will help you serve and nurture and be at a whole new level. That 1 minute reframe definitely helps. And then also looking at what do you need right now? There's times where we allow ourselves to be led by fear and anxiety versus what is actually possible beyond that. So I'm excited to share with you now some of the amazing people that will be sharing with you different ways that you can pour into your self-care. And just a reminder that you can get the guide for this episode, as well as show notes with everyone that will be featured, and as well as what timing they'll come in at during this episode at cazgaddis.com/E010. Thank you so much. My heart goes to you, sending you a huge hug virtually, and just embracing who you are with you. Thank you.
Hi, I am Dana Inouye. I am a mom and more than a mom. I believe we all are moms and more than moms. And we've just got to continually seek and find the light within us that we can then spread to ourselves, to our children, and beyond. I am a coach and a writer and a speaker. I help women access their truth and step into their power by tapping into their emotions. in order to live more fully and to lead in a bigger, bolder way that is really soulful and embodied. So my focus is first and foremost on us as emotional beings, because all the beautiful potential flows forth from that. Because shifting our limiting beliefs and changing our thoughts is powerful, but really feeling those new thoughts, that is where the magic lies. So these crazy, unprecedented times that we're living in, Here I am, all dressed up with nowhere to go. So the first thing I want to say is that I truly honor every single one of you that is feeling both the individual and the collective grief and anxiety in these uncertain times. I see you and I feel with you. And I breathe with you. What I want to offer you today is the gift that I want to offer you during this difficult time is an invitation to feel your pain, to allow yourself to feel everything that comes up for you. It's the gift of connecting to ourselves, of giving ourselves permission to feel, to cry, to rage, to laugh, to create the space and the time for all of it, to feel all of it. I truly believe that we need to open ourselves up to feeling the dark so that we can also open ourselves up to feeling the light. Opening ourselves up to feeling the devastation and isolation of our humanity is also the thing that will open ourselves up to feeling the beauty and interconnectedness of our humanity. And it can be uncomfortable as heck. And when things get uncomfortable, when things feel uncomfortable, our tendency is to disconnect, right? Because it's scary, it's overwhelming, it's stressful, and we scroll through Facebook or Instagram, we eat another bag of chips, whatever tools we use to buffer. And look, I am guilty of all of them. And sometimes that's what we need also, right? Especially in times like these, a little bit of disconnect can feel good. But we deeply need a reconnect to ourselves. So a few nights ago, I could not sleep. And I should add that we're currently in the UK, in London, a country whose leadership has eerily, until yesterday, not taken any of the precautionary measures that the rest of the world has until now, thus far. And now they've started to, but, this is not our home, and we were supposed to be here only for a semester through the end of April. So with that context, I was lying in bed, I was scrolling through social media, and not that that's ever helped anyone sleep better, I know, but that's what we do, right? And there I was late at night, scrolling through social media, finding myself more and more anxious, feeling stuck, not knowing if we should ride it out here in a place that is not home, or send all my husband's students home, back to the US and return to North America as soon as possible. And I felt this itch in my heart that I just couldn't shake off. I felt measures of sadness and grief and fear. But so long as I was lying there, reading more posts and more articles, those sentiments were lodged. Now I'll tell you, I am generally the queen of reframes. Mindset is my jam, but all of that comes after. First is the imperative to feel. After a good while, I put my fucking phone down and I let myself cry. And I lay there next to my sleeping 3-year-old and wept. And the sadness and the grief and the fear finally had space to move. And in that space, in the spaces between, some other things started moving and bubbling, and I noticed them. And it was quite incredible and beautiful. It was things like wonder and tenderness and gratitude and inspired creative ideas. And I felt myself enveloping the squishy 3-year-old body laying next to me and repeating this, and grounding into that moment. We need to activate our emotions, to tap into them, to release, to process, to move through always, especially now. So here's what I want to tell you. When you feel like you want to turn off your pain, tune into it instead. Because when we express and release our dark, messy feelings, something shifts. And that something facilitates the path to the lighter feelings that are just on the other side, and the only way is through. The mindset shifts, the reframes, all of those are incredibly powerful. But here's the thing. If the new thoughts, however empowering and positive they may be, if they stay in our heads without finding a way to make it to our heart, to our body, to our gut, to our soul, they run the risk of falling short. And so we have to open our emotion states in order to make space for those new thoughts to inhabit not only our minds, but also our hearts. And so all the beautiful reframes that we're receiving these days, they are absolutely beautiful and immensely valuable. Things like that it's a time to see the opportunity and the challenge, to shine a light on what's important, that isolation is an invitation to connect, to notice the little things more, to heal, to think outside the box. And oh my goodness, yes, 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 all of these will absolutely lift us up. But they will do so most effectively in a really visceral, organic way when we let them bubble up through the process of moving, of journeying through our emotions. When we feel the sadness and lend it a space to bubble into gratitude, when we feel the grief and let it evolve into creativity, when we feel the fear and notice it turn into love, our ahas are so often preceded by some emotional crescendo or release. And so I wanted to sort of bring this to an end by sharing a beautiful quote by Maria Rainer Rilke, however you say it in German. Here it is. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. We need to feel what we need to feel in order to feel what we want to feel. And so, let's get practical. Here is my number one tool that I want to share with you that helps transport me to a deep feeling state. And that is music. I invite you to start exploring your emotional landscape through music. Listen to those sad, achy, heartbreaking songs and feel how they affect you. I'll tell you, I've been finding it strangely comforting to listen to sad songs nowadays. Listen to angry white woman songs and feel what comes up to you through that. Let yourself kick and yell, keeping your distance from other people. Maybe that would actually be a good activity to do with your kids. I'm planning on trying it. Listen to fun, feel good, get you on your feet diva songs and feel how it lifts you up. Now, I have 4 kids, aged ranging from 3 to 13. So I would recommend listening to the sad stuff, the soulful stuff that makes you go inwards late at night after the kids have gone the F to sleep. And listen to the happy feel-good stuff together during the daytime. There's nothing that fixes our mood like a living room dance party or balcony dance party these days. All right, one last pro tip. Give yourself all the grace and let shit go. Our new normal is naked parades and buttloads of screen time, and that's okay. Let them have all the screen time while you go take a hot candlelit bath, mama. Take care of yourself. The kids will be all right, as long as you take care of yourself. Thank you. Keep taking care of yourselves and of one another. We are in this together and we will get through by going through.
Hey, my name is Ashley Woods from ashleywoods.com. I am a retreat leader and life coach, and I'm here today to offer you a little tip for recentering. So this is a good practice that you can use anytime you're feeling, I think it's particularly handy, I should say, anytime you're feeling kind of stuck or irritated, maybe sad, heavy, unmotivated. So, you've got stuff to do and you don't feel like doing it for whatever reason. This would be a good tip to use or trick to use. I find often when we're experiencing what we might consider to be negative emotions, we tend to want to do something to make them go away. We try to control them or like resist them in some form or fashion. And what we don't always realize is that by doing that, we keep them in place. Our resistance only helps fuel the problem. What works is to make room in our experience to fully experience them. That was kind of redundant, wasn't it? But so let's imagine that I've got some things I need to get done today, and I don't really feel like it because really I'm kind of frustrated. And I'd rather go get distracted doing something that's not really important or productive for my business, you know? Maybe you don't do that, but I know a little bit about doing that. Um, the trick to moving through the frustration is not to avoid it or try to go around it or try to change it in some way, but to actually give it room to breathe. So most of my retreats are, or all of my retreats, I should say, are centered around meditation and a free movement dance practice. So what I'm going to invite for you is the opportunity to give shape to what you're feeling. So kind of like dancing it, but if you don't consider yourself a dancer or you have like a reaction to dance, well, don't think of it like dance, just think of moving. However, it could be helpful if you put on a song. So what you're gonna do is give shape to whatever you're experiencing. So in this example, I'm saying you feel frustrated. All right, well, what is frustrated? What's the shape of frustrated? And then you wanna kind of exaggerate that, right? So maybe frustrated is like, and then you wanna exaggerate it a little bit and give it a repetition. This may feel a little silly at first if you've never done anything like this. That's fine. Do it with nobody around. Go hide in your closet if you need to. Just trust me and go with it. So I've included a playlist link for you here. It'll take you to a handful of songs, or maybe you know of a song that would really work for you, a go-to that you could put on. It's something that will give you an opportunity to move whatever you're feeling. So when we go fully into our frustration or our anger or our sadness, there's something about the power of our presence that can transmute that experience and let it morph into something new. So we're going to give this frustration and this irritation a shape, and we're going to stay with it as long as it's there. If frustration's there, just keep moving it. Keep moving it. I keep doing my face like this, but that's what frustration feels like if we exaggerate it, right? It's just like, keep moving it. Keep moving it until eventually something else will start to want to move. Like you might notice that the frustration is a little bit more like heaviness now. So move the heaviness. The idea is that you're being with whatever's there. You're allowing it to be without fighting against it or resisting it. And in doing so, you're giving it this great, beautiful space to morph and transform into something new. Dance with whatever is there. Keep with it. Keep your presence with it until it naturally begins to take another shape. Usually one song, maybe two, and you'll start to see an energetic shift. All right. I hope that's helpful for you. I hope the playlist is helpful for you. And I hope that you find yourself recentered and productive again real soon. Go ahead, Mama. You got this.
Welcome, sweet yogis. My name is Sarah. I'm happy to have you on the mat today. We're moving into some postures that will bring us a little bit of grounding during such uncertain times. It's good to start to evoke the parasympathetic nervous system from the moment you wake up to the moment the stress hits you, because then you have some tools in your tool belt to know how to breathe when the storm comes, right? All right. So as even yogis, we forget how to breathe all the time. We get into fight or flight mode. Lately, I've been almost getting into freeze mode where it's like, okay, I'm not sure what to do next. Immediately, You need to trigger the response to start your breath right here. So let's take a couple of these deep diaphragmatic breaths together, and it is almost as if a balloon is sitting at the base of your belly, and on the inhale, let's all try together, you fill that balloon up. You're moving the breath from the bottom of the belly through the rib cage, touching the collarbones, and then you'll push it back down, deflate your balloon. All right, again, take a deep breath in. You're in a supine position or you're seated. And exhale, close. Sometimes I put a hand on heart, hand on belly. Let's try it again. Breathe in, big belly breath. You'll feel this bottom hand lift first. And then the top hand comes down, bottom hand tight or recedes. There we go. Last time together. Breathe in, big belly breath, filling up your beautiful blue balloon. And exhale, we close. And at the bottom and the top of the breath, there's a simple, gentle pause. We never want to push here. We never want to constrict the breath. But in that pause, I want you to find a gratitude. So as you practice today, it's just a little tiny 5-minute, grounding sequence. Every time you hit the bottom or top of the breath, you pause for a blessing. We'll get started in child's pose. Child's pose is a beautiful way to begin and end a day. Grab a pillow up off your bed. All right, and we will just take the pillow long ways. Knees are wide or knees are narrow if you have lower back stuff going on. All right, I'll take a wide and we just wiggle that pillow into the midline and we lay down. Deep diaphragmatic breathing. Your hips are moving back, your fingers are moving forward. And after a couple breaths, I invite you to change the direction of your gaze. So we'll take the left ear down. And while you're in these poses, you will feel places that are tightening, that are tensing. Like right now, I'm getting some tightening here. If I could just redirect the breath there, inhale. On your exhale, let it go. When we're tense, we hold a lot of stress up in the jaw and the shoulders. Release the tongue from the roof of your mouth and you immediately feel this almost melting the jaws. Release, the chest can start to release itself as well. All right, so we take a few breaths in child's pose. Now let's move to the supine, so we're reclining on our back. And if you're pregnant, place a pillow underneath your hips. If you're not, it's safe to be on your back. And we will scoot our booties up to the wall, so your right hip will touch the wall, and then lie down. Now we can open up so that both sits bones are towards your wall. And this is called Viparita Karani. It means legs up the wall. And we just get fresh blood to the lower extremities. We welcome everything, we resist nothing, and we breathe. You can take your arms out beside you. You can also take one hand to heart, one hand to belly, so that you can really feel the extension and the depth and breadth of your breath. Beautiful. Pull your knees into your chest. Let's roll to the right side so that our left nostril opens up and our right side of the brain is activated. And we'll just keep rolling until we're all the way out of this. And we'll finish with a seated posture today. It's called Sukhasana, and Sukhasana just means happy or easy sit. We'll take our right foot over. That's the one that just moves forward for me first because I'm right hand dominant. Left hand on your right knee, right hand behind you. Breathe in. Prepare to twist, exhale, look behind you. Again, breathe in. Exhale, twist. One more time. Every inhale is a chance. Every exhale, let something go. Beautiful. Let's come back to center. This time we take a different cross, so put the weird one on top, put the left leg on top. Sukhasana. Right hand, left knee, left hand behind you. Spine is long and straight like you're wringing out a washcloth. Hold on one second. Breathe in. Exhale, twist. Why don't you sit down right there and do it with me? Breathe in.
No, I want to sit
And
down.
twist.
Oh,
One more time, breathe in. Exhale for your twist. Slowly release. Uncross your legs to Baddha Konasana, that's bound ankle pose. And we'll just fly here. Just getting a little bit of motion in the ball and socket joint, that's your hip. All right, we'll close the pose, hands to your heart. And your heart space is the place in your body that you know that everything you'll ever need is already inside of you. Just a gentle reminder that you are whole. That even though you feel like you might be struggling right now, you are not failing. All my love, all my light, and all my blessings. Namaste. Thank you. What you need?
So there you have it. We've talked about emotions. We've talked about expression and dance and just taking a break through all of it. We've shared different ways that have worked for us. Now it's your opportunity to look at and try on some of the things that you heard on this episode and see what would best serve you where you are right now. Maybe you try one of these ideas a day or one of these insights every few days and see what works for you. I look forward to seeing what serves you and what you think of it. Please make sure that you have support around you. Make sure that you have a community around you rallying, letting you know that it's possible and that you are possible. Go to facebook.com/groups/more than a parent. We would love to have you join us. We have a lot of fun things in store in there and also a space to talk about the not fun things. Whatever it is that you need, rally around you a community of moms that can support you and elevate you in the moments that you don't feel like you got it. Because mom, I promise you, you got this. And we'll all get through this together. So thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than a Parent. To be your more, live your and.
Continue the conversation and connect at facebook.com/groups/more than a parent.